Hello, this is Ashley Billups with Module 10 on creating safe schools. So I started off by summarizing each of the 4 articles provided. So this one here is titled 3 Essential Priorities for Principals. So it is important, the first principle here, our priority, is to emphasize a caring and inclusive school environment. This can be done in a few different ways, but the real goal here is to know that every child matters, yet our principals often leave certain students feeling marginalized, whether or not this is done on purpose. To overcome this, it starts with a positive school climate. When classrooms are open and inviting, students tend to engage better and are more completely engaged with their schoolwork. Inclusivity means understanding the backgrounds and cultures and customs that students may come from and welcoming those backgrounds. A caring school environment engages students outside the classroom and encourages positive relationships between students and their peers and between students and staff. The second essential priority is equipping staff and faculty to embrace their own leadership roles. So you really need people to understand that they have to be true to themselves. So the best school leaders trust their staff to make the best decisions. Teachers need coaches, not bosses. This means that they need proper training to meet their potential for their students. So as a principal, it's really key here for this priority that you're giving the teachers the tools that they need to be their best. And then the third essential priority from this article is to collaborate with your community. So effective school leaders see community engagement as an essential ongoing process. School principals, in fact, are one of the largest advocates for community needs. So it's really good to tie in what's going on in your community and the needs of your community to your school system. The second article that we summarized is how feeling respected transforms a student's relationship with the school. So starting us off, a one-time experiment at 5 California schools, researchers found that helping teachers and students empathize with each other halved the number of suspensions and helped students who had previously been suspended feel more connected at school. In and out of school suspensions as a form of discipline has been under scrutiny lately, most likely because it is so closely related to high dropout rates and referrals to law enforcement. By lowering the suspension rates, it is possible by just 1% to have the ability to save taxpayers $691 million over student lives. So such a huge correlation there between in-school and out-of-school suspension with the dropout rates and law enforcement referrals. And so it's really something we should try to avoid. And then it also mentions how studies have shown that leaving comments as to why you're counting off on students' work makes them much more likely, over 50% in fact, for African Americans to redo their work. Empathy is key to handling misbehavior and in a respectful way. So teachers who use empathy in their discipline are more likely to ask students why the misbehavior occurred in the first place. So having just one positive relationship can buffer all school problems. So it's really important for students to develop these relationships and for empathy to really be the key founder of these relationships. The third article that we summarized is on creating a warm and friendly environment, planning for all children to feel welcome. So that should really be our goal. So the type of classroom environment created by the teacher either increases or decreases the student's ability to learn. A warm classroom environment can increase academic achievement and a student's sense of pride in the school. Decorations and organization is the first step in developing a welcoming classroom. As teachers, we must create classroom traditions that give students a sense of pride and belonging. It is also important to let students have a say in how the classroom works. This can be accomplished by having classroom meetings. It is also important to teach and model self-advocacy, reflective practices, and active listening. All of these things will help students feel safe as if they belong, which is key to effective learning. So I personally really liked this article. I think having just this friendly, warm environment is really key to helping the kids feel comfortable in the environment. And then that allows them to feel more comfortable to build those relationships. And the fourth article that we read is strategies for building a productive and positive environment. So this gave 6 different steps that we can use. So starting with the first one, so in general, productive and positive learning environments are key to students' academic, emotional, and social success in school. So it is important that we cultivate these environments. They will not happen on their own. So the first step to cultivating an environment like this is to make learning relevant. So the more relevant a topic is to a student, the more likely they will be engaged in the learning process. It is also helpful to learn the interests, hobbies, and talents of each of the students and apply that to the lessons when possible, just to make it even more relevant to their daily lives. The second strategy is to develop a code of conduct, and it's really important when developing this to allow the students to help. So students need to be on the same page as to what is acceptable and what is unacceptable behavior. Students should be involved in determining the set of rules in a classroom. So all students need to be on the same page as what is acceptable and what is not, and they should be the ones who help determine what is and what is not. The third strategy is to employ positive actions curriculum. So what this means is that not all students come from the same background. It is important that while in the school environment, they are taught positive behaviors in a systemic way. So what this is trying to tell us is that the rules that we have need to be universal across the whole school. What kids have in one classroom should be consistent throughout in the other classrooms. Just that way we don't have to decipher what's right and what's wrong. We're all on the same page. The fourth strategy here is to help students develop intrinsic motivation. So it is important that when students feel good about themselves, it is an intrinsic motivator for them. So students often feel good when they exhibit positive behaviors. So it's nice if we can make this tie. So if we can increase the positive behaviors as a source of intrinsic motivation, it's just going to be like a cycle that continues to increase those positive behaviors, which is what we want for discipline in the first place. And then the fifth strategy is to reinforce positive behaviors. So recognizing and reinforcing positive behaviors is key in producing those positive behaviors and strengthening intrinsic motivation, as well as creating a positive learning environment. So very similar to the last one, where we really need to tie all of these pieces together. And the sixth strategy mentioned is that we always need to respond with positivity. This can be really hard as a teacher in the classroom, but interacting with students in a positive manner is key in creating a positive learning environment and producing successful students. And then I went on and analyzed my own 4 articles on bullying and how bullying prevention should work or does work currently. So the first one I started with is specifically looking at bullying in Colorado. So it's bullying prevention in Colorado schools. Colorado has been a leader in bullying prevention measures taken by schools. Legislature has passed Concerning Measures to Reduce the Frequency of Bullying in Schools Act, which gave funding to schools for bullying prevention programs, which is one of the first. Of participating schools, it was found that students reporting being bullied was reduced by 33%, and students witness bullying was down by 17%. This demonstrates the needs for schools to have an increase in funding to help combat this problem. So in order to implement these life-changing programs and bullying prevention programs, it's important that we have the funds available for these programs to happen. And this article really showed with some hard facts how it can improve. So the next one is simply titled just bullying prevention. So unfortunately, bullying happens at all schools across the United States. In fact, 1 in 3 teens report being bullied. Dr. Pullen, an internationally recognized expert on school bullying, recommends the following steps for schools to take. So, step number 1 is to implement school-wide bullying programs where all staff buy in. It's important here that all staff buy in because it's something we all need to be in agreement on and on the same page. Secondly, we need to recognize that LGBTQ students are at a larger threat for bullying. So once we all recognize this, it'll be easier for us to come to agreement and understand that we need to give special attention to them just to make sure their basic needs are being met. Third is that they implement bullying programs that are directed towards witnesses. So we need to encourage people that telling is not tattling. And then The fourth one here is that we need to recognize that cyberbullying is detrimental to learning. So this is often a hard one for school officials to grasp, that even when these things may not happen in the school, if they're happening at home over social media, it's still going to affect how the student is learning, therefore it's still a school issue. And then lastly, the staff members to identify and immediately take action on bullying. The third article on bullying is about how parents, teachers, and kids can take action to prevent bullying. So first here, teachers and administrators need to be aware that all forms of bullying must be taken seriously. It is important to emphasize that telling is not tattling. Immediate intervention needs to take place, as well as accurate record keeping. Students and parents need to be involved in order to find a solution. It is important to set positive behavior expectations for students. It is important for the parents of the students that are being bullied to teach them how to cope with these different scenarios, as well as setting boundaries with technology to help protect them. Parents of students who are engaged in the bullying must help stop it before it starts by looking for self-esteem issues, and as well as making your home a bullying-free zone. Bullying is something that requires everyone to make a difference. So we all have to take a stand, whether you're the teacher, the kid, or the parents. And then lastly, what is bullying prevention? So this really kind of summarizes it all together. So bullying is typically when someone repeatedly uses threats, intimidation, or aggression to obtain objects, activities, or social gain from others. The goal of any bullying prevention program is to reduce bullying behavior. There are 4 foundational elements in bullying prevention: school-wide expectations, signals and routines for unwanted behavior, responses to stop the signals, and recruiting help. Bullying prevention is a tiered framework, or should be anyway. Tier 1 includes all students and staff being taught how to behave respectfully and appropriately. Tier 2 includes the students who did not respond positively to Tier 1 and receive additional support by social skill instruction and an increase in positive adult attention. And then Tier 3 is for students who did not respond to Tier 1 or Tier 2. And implementing any program first starts with school-wide buy-in. So as we said earlier, it is very important that everyone is on the same page in order for these programs to truly work. So if we were looking at the data given in this module, it's shown a nice summary of it. In an online study, it showed at the specific middle schools, students have reported experiencing bullying in one of these following ways. So whether it's name calling, teasing, spreading rumors, pushing, shoving, hitting, kicking, leaving out, threatening, stealing belongings, sexual comments, emailing, or blogging. All students, which is very sad. It also goes on to say that a safe and supportive school climate can help alleviate bullying. Unfortunately, most of our bullying incidents do happen on school grounds, whether it be in the classroom, hallways, lockers, gyms, bathrooms, or on the playground. Only 20 to 30% of students will report bullying to a trusted adult. Oftentimes, students are missing out on a safe and supportive environment if they are not comfortable telling an adult when they feel unsafe or threatened. It is important to cultivate a culture where students feel safe and understand the consequences of bullying. So it goes on to ask how our standard steps can be followed to help kind of prevent these other things from happening. So if a school leader is creating an environment where students feel safe and accepted, this should help ensure the implementation of a bullying prevention program. So when we meet these steps, so when these steps are addressed and when we keep readdressing them by the school leaders, it should help alleviate the frequency and the severity of bullying in schools. I'm not sure we'll ever live in a world where bullying can be eradicated, but it is something, if we talk about it enough and we have enough prevention and reaction to, that we can very much lower those numbers. And then here are the sources that I used.